Hello, it is Angie Nuttall, and I am here Facebook Live after 9. Sorry, I'm a couple of minutes late. Technical difficulties with the internet connection. You know how those things happen, and me and technology are not always the best of friends. But you know what? I'm here, I'm live now, and I'm excited to be with you tonight in our third session on 3 truths about the overly productive woman. So I'm going to move this camera around here because I also have some folks on conference calls, so people who weren't able to access Facebook Live. So I've got 2 streams of audience coming into me, so really excited to see you all. Hey, who's been the boss of you this week? Who has been the boss of you? I'm just going to tell you that I am just like any other woman, and I have had a very challenging yet rewarding week. So those of you who know me personally know that I've had some trials and tribulations this week, but it's okay. It is after 9 o'clock. Behind that door right there are dogs and kids and a spouse, all waiting for me to come out because they see me as valuable. And one of the overarching themes that I want to emphasize tonight is that you transition from being the woman who has woes to the woman who says wow. And I'm talking about the woman who transitions from woes to wow in a very positive way. So that's going to be one of my focuses tonight. So what's been going on? You know, the last 2 sessions that I've done, hi Kim, I see that you've joined. Thank you. I've got a few people on Facebook Live, so thanks for joining. What has gone on this week? You know, one of the things that I think really helps people is simply to just detoxify. And how many of us, when we get to talk with a friend, we just download all of the stuff that has happened, and it's like taking out the trash. And so, you know, if I think about what's happened to me this week, I mean, it's been a heck of a week. I had my fur baby who took off and ran and got lost, and we were on a big search. My life was on hold because I was trying to find right now. So anyway, that was going on, and that was quite traumatic and made me realize how much I really appreciate my dog and how much joy she really brings to me. That's why her name is Jovi, because she's very jovial. And when she was missing those couple of days, boy, the joy just got sucked right out of my life. So those of you who are animal lovers, you can totally understand that. The other thing is that, you know, my mom had surgery, and it's always a bit stressful when someone's going through surgery because you have to disrupt your plans. And I did that and actually got a lot of work done while I was in the waiting room hospital. But, you know, I mean, just caring about the person who's having surgery and just making sure they're comfortable. You just want to, there's always a little bit of angst when that happens. And she was in surgery for a long time, so she came out like a champ though, and she's probably going to be coming home tomorrow, so I'm really happy for that. And also, you know, last weekend I got a chance to really invest in some time in my marriage. And those of us who are married, I really recommend that every once in a while you and your spouse go to a marriage retreat. It is so rich and so valuable, and just really helps you to reconnect and just really love each other. And sometimes we get disconnected with all of the daily things that are going on. So we did that, and gosh, I'm just so excited about what it did and what it accomplished for us. I also reconnected with one of my values that's really important, and that's laughter. And so Mackenzie, my daughter, introduced me to Snapchat, and I knew it was around. I'd heard about it, but it is the most hysterical thing ever. So I've been playing with that, and if you're a friend of mine and you get a Snapchat from me, just know that it's just me experimenting. I'm sure that this phase will pass, but it's so fun and it's so cute that, you know, I just had to try it. And So here I am now, and I am dedicating my time to you. I have been looking forward to this time, and as you can see, I have right now people who are trying to cross over my boundaries, and I'm on a Facebook Live right now, Mackenzie.
Hi.
Hi. So
Where's your computer?
I'm using it, so I'm on Facebook Live. So everybody,
Why
this
is
is
it
my
shut?
daughter, Mackenzie, who has shown up, and all of these people are online right now. So you have to go step out.
Okay, can I borrow your computer?
Not right now.
Why?
Okay, and take the dogs.
Come
See, a mother's work is never done. And have you ever seen the, okay, it's okay, Jovi can stay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So as you can see, a mother's work is never done, and you have to learn to lock the door. I thought I had locked the door, but this is Jovi, my runaway dog. Jovi, come here. So I just want you to, I want you to see Jovi. Come here, come here. Here she is. She's back, and she's live, and I'm so happy to have this little baby girl back with me. Okay, so I'm going to put her up about the overly productive woman, and one of those has to do with boundaries, so I'll be sharing those in just a few moments. But before we go there, what are some of your job titles that you've had this week? I know I continue to have that job title of dog catcher and corporate talent expert, so I've been doing some coaching, and love my shirt. Yeah, so my shirt says do what you love, and then on the back it says love what you do. That is so important. Yeah, up here is really, it's just do. And that really should be my middle name, because I find myself doing things all the time. How about you? You're probably on this call because you do a lot of stuff, and you are the overly productive woman, right? Yeah. So what are some of your job titles this week? What have you been doing? How have you been impacting the world, and how have you been showing up in the world? Just be thinking about that, and as you think about that, go ahead, and you're welcome to send those to me so that I can see what those are, and that will be very much appreciated. It's a good way to really contain all of the things that you've experienced during the week, and it's another great way to detoxify when you say, okay, well, this week I was a warrior, you know, or I was a mediator, or I was a cat herder, or, you know, whatever it is that you did. It's great to just characterize that and really contain it, and then put it aside so that you can go ahead and start living your mission, whatever that may be. All right, so let's go on. I know you're wanting to hear what are the 3 new truths this week. So this is our 3rd session. We've already had a total of 6 truths that I've talked about in previous sessions, and I won't go over those again. And oh, I see Julie is on. Hey Julie, so you've been a friend, and appreciate you being on the call today. So here's our 3 truths. I'm gonna just throw these out to you, and then once I'm gonna, oh, I think someone is chatting with me. Okay, all right, hi. Well, my mom is on the call tonight, so thanks for joining, and she's at the hospital, so thanks for joining, Mom. You're welcome. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and just plop these 3 truths out for you, and then we're going to chew on them a little bit. And I want you to, as you're hearing these truths, I want you to really process this, and I want you to be thinking about, how does this really apply to me? So I'll tell you some stories that help to bring it home for you, but I really want you to apply these to yourself. So the first truth that I've identified for this week is that we create stories in every scenario that we live out, and we create these stories based on our pre-existing conditions. So you know, one thing that I say is we come from places where we need healing, and we have a tendency to have some scrapes and bruises, and we get scabs, and we have a tendency as we go through life to pick those scabs. And that sounds kind of gross, but really that's what we do. We we pick the scabs and we relive some pain that we've experienced. And, and it's tough. So just to give you an example of how I did this week, when my dog Jovi went missing, it was really traumatic. I know I keep playing that over, but I'm just detoxifying from all of that. And as I was going through this experience, the whole scenario was that my other dog, Buddy, him and Jovi have this jealousy thing going on between them. And Buddy is known for trying to dig under the fence and escape. And so when Buddy and Jovi went missing, actually both of them went missing. And within about 15 or 20 minutes, we were able to find Buddy, but Jovi, we weren't able to find her. And so I want you to know that I just started creating this story in my head about what happened. And the story in my mind was, well, I'm sure that what Buddy did was he led Jovi out of there. He forced her to escape, and then he got her out into the world, and then he abandoned her. And she got lost, and he was happy about it. So this was really the story that I was creating in my head about these two dogs. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. But this was the story that was playing in my head, and I was relating it to, a time that I felt left or abandoned. And we did this. We take these memories, these really hard memories that we experience, and we just apply it like a filter. And that's what I'm calling those pre-existing conditions. We apply these filters to every scenario that we go through. And so anyway, this first truth is really about, we create stories in our heads about what's going on, and it's because of our pre-existing conditions. So be thinking about that. What stories are you telling yourself in your mind? What story, every time you go through a situation, let's say that, I'm not a marriage counselor or anything, but think about just even with your spouse or someone that you love when they hurt you. What's the story that you're telling in your head? And remember we talked about you've got this inner committee that's making decisions for you. Who's in the driver's seat as you're thinking about how you're interpreting that situation? And that is something that you simply have to disrupt. If it's not serving you well, you've got to disrupt that pattern and that way of thinking, because it's not healthy. And I'm going to just tell you from experience that 9 times out of 10, whatever it is that you're processing in your head and that filter that you're applying, it's not always true. So we really have to step back and look at the situation objectively. All right, the second truth that I want to share with you tonight is that we struggle when it comes to establishing and keeping our personal boundaries. I could probably just be quiet and let everyone who is listening in on Facebook and on our conference call, you could probably think about how you've had a boundary today and it was crossed, and maybe you backed off of it. And think about, why do we struggle? Why is it that we struggle with those boundaries and keeping those boundaries? Is it because we think that maybe we're not good enough or we're not worthy enough? What is it? What is it that causes us to do that? I know for me, this is something that I've struggled with, and part of that is just because I like to give. I like to give to people, and for a long time I found myself really sacrificing myself in order to give to more people and give more of myself. And what I found out is that after a while my bucket was empty, and because I was just so busy giving. And so Kim's saying people pleaser. Yep. For a long time I was a people pleaser. And you know what? There's nothing wrong at all with people, with giving. I mean, as a matter of fact, I just, for those of you who are Christians, or, you believe, that there's a scripture that says, give, and it shall be given unto you in good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Well, that's truth. And when you give, you're going to get back. And so that goes both ways. That goes a lot of different way. So Sherry saying, well, that's me. Think about, this is the way I thought about this today when you're giving. And I don't know, so there was a time in my life where, when I was in corporate America, and it is the land of email. Hi there, hi Trung. So in the land of email, you open up your box, you come into work, you open up your email box, and you have like 100 emails. Or, I was in a leadership position, so I'd open up my box, there'd be 200 emails, and they're easy on any given day. And so what I would do is I would just try to go through and give some kind of response to people. I just wanted to give a response, and so I would just be firing off all of these emails at people. And I would fire off like 100 emails just responding to people, and even trying to delay. Just, I wanted to respond, but just trying to ask them a question and maybe even delay before I'd have to do something. Well, you know what? When you put all those emails out there, guess what happens? You get a bunch more back. And so it's when you give, then you're going to get back, whether you give positive things or whether you give negative things. So think about how much energy are you devoting? And how much of that energy are you putting out into the world that's really positive? Are you doing a lot of things and you're getting back a lot of things? And what are those things? What kind of energy are you putting out? Are you going to work and you're constantly putting out fires? You're putting out fires and you keep getting fires back. Are you doing a lot of things because you have to, or are you doing a lot of things because you want to? So I really want you to think about this whole thing about your personal boundaries, and just putting a lot of energy out there. What are you giving, and you're going to get it back. So so the more you dish out, the more you get back. All right. So the third truth that I want to share with you today is that we get respect when we start respecting ourselves first. Now let's let this one sink in. We get respect when we start with respecting ourselves first. So what does that mean? What does it really mean to respect yourself? It ties into the whole concept that I was just talking about just a moment ago about establishing your boundaries. If you're meeting with someone and you're saying, hey, I have a boundary around, I'm not able to work past 5 o'clock because at 5 o'clock my family time begins. Well, you're trying to establish a boundary. But if someone says, hey, I want you to break that boundary because I need you to do something else, in essence, you are showing up and not necessarily respecting yourself because you're not respecting your own boundaries and your own rules. And so in turn, what that causes people to do is say, oh, they're not serious. I'm not taking them serious, and so I'm not really going to respect them. I'm just going to, and it just creates this sense where people will run over you. So, I want to talk about that respect thing because I want you to really look in your life and ask yourself, the ideal thing is to just break down your life into segments and think about your life in the work segment, in your relationship with your spouse, in your relationship with your children, your relationship with your maker, and how much are you respecting them? And how are you showing that respect? When you are giving respect, you should also be getting it back. So if you're not getting it back, there's some kind of disconnect. And what I tell people is to take a good look at yourself and see where maybe you're overstepping or negating your own boundaries. and where you're not necessarily showing respect for yourself. So I want to talk more also about listening, because I've mentioned that my husband and I, we got a chance to go to a wonderful retreat. And one of the things that, when you have a relationship with somebody that you really care about, it's really easy to overstep your boundaries. It's really easy to jack up all three of these truths that I've shared with you. And pre-existing conditions can come in and interfere with the way that you look at things, and it can really cause a division between you and the people that you love. And so my husband and I, we went to this retreat, and I was just reminded of how we come to the relationship, every relationship. It's not just spouse, but it's your children, your friends, your family, your coworkers. But we come to that relationship just bringing so much baggage with us. And if you remember our first session, we talk about that, we carry around a lot of junk in our purse. So we come with a lot of junk sometimes, and we have to really clean that out. Well, I got reconnected with the importance of really listening and hearing what someone is saying. And, one thing that I learned is that, people come into the relationship and they have really good intentions. They have good intentions, and when there's conflict in the relationship, what I've realized is that, that if there's anger being expressed, or there's some kind of obstacle or barrier in the way, it's usually that, that person is feeling angry because they're missing something, or there's something that they need. And what is really true is that people, they just need to be heard. People need to be heard, valued, and celebrated. They need to be seen too, but they really need to be heard. And so if we think about these three truths, one of the most important things that you can do is really listen to where someone's coming from. And when someone is sitting in front of you, they're bringing a whole history with them that you may not be aware of. And they may be bringing in different experiences that they've had. And so, for example, if you're talking to somebody, they may have a filter that they've applied to their situation that, is something that they experienced when they were a teenager, for example. And I don't want to make the excuse that, all of your childhood experiences are, it's an excuse for the way people behave, and sometimes we show up badly, and all of us do it. All of us have our bad days. But it's something to really be thinking about. We've been given a template to follow as a kid, and it's really created these neural pathways in our brain, and we have a tendency to follow them. We may not always be conscious of those. So just be realizing that when you're sitting in front of someone, they may be bringing that 15-year-old kid to the forefront because of something that they experienced. And, my husband was sharing something with me. Yeah, I know that he wouldn't be upset with me sharing this, but my husband loves a good meal. And he his love language is food, and he likes to be fed. And, there was a period of time where I was busy and I wasn't cooking, and we were just fending for ourselves at night. And what I realized is I was losing a connection with him, and that him coming home to a meal wasn't about me just slaving over it because I'm a woman and that's my job. Although in my mind I was thinking, oh, there's like some kind of stereotype operating here. But what I realized is that he sees mealtime as a time to just come together and be safe, and it's just a time to really appreciate each other. And so we were missing that, and that was a filter that he was applying. And once I heard that and received that, it instantly changed my desire to, make my husband happy. And you may be on this call and you're thinking, oh, well, I was thinking this was, going to be about work and professional. Well, here's a news flash for you. We do not check our personal lives in at the door when we show up at work every day. We live lives, and we're a whole person, and whatever's happening in your home life, it bleeds into your work, and whatever's happening at work, it bleeds into your personal life. So those things are intertwined, and you can't really separate the two as much as we like to pretend that we do that. And I'm talking about this because when we talk about the overly productive woman, one reason why I think that so many women are overly productive or overdo it is because, in some part of their life, they're missing something, and they're looking for love, and they're looking for acceptance, and they're wanting to be needed and wanting to be wanted. So we have a tendency to do things, and what happens is we build up a resentment. If we're not doing things because we want to and because we love to and because we truly, genuinely appreciate someone, then we get resentful and we start creating these stories in our head. Well, they probably just think that I'm just the slave of the house and that my job doesn't matter. And how many times have you thought that you've been working hard, and you, as a woman, you feel like you have to do everything. You feel like you have to go to work, bring home the bacon, then actually cook the bacon and take care of the kids and straighten up the house. You feel like you have to do all that. You feel like that's the expectation, when really it's us that's putting the expectation on ourselves. And we live in choice. So Kim, I love what you're saying, that it's about relationships with people. And relationship it's not just about existing. When you're caught up with just existing, then you're not living a joy-filled life. And so I'm challenging you to find places of joy in your life. I started this series because I myself find myself doing things all the time. I'm one of those people that I put a lot of energy out into the world, and in the process I get a lot of things back. And I got a comment from someone on my Facebook post when they saw that my dog was missing, my mom was having surgery, different things were happening, and said, wow, a lot's going on. Well, I'm here to tell you that when you're out there and you're living your mission and you are doing a lot of things because you want to, there are going to be a lot of things that come back at you. And so instead of saying, whoa, you want to say, wow. Wow, all of these things are going on, so I must be putting a lot of things out there as part of my mission. And so it's really important to be methodical and intentional about what you're putting out there and where you're choosing to put your energy. Now, today was a challenging day for me because I found myself, those neural pathways, sometimes they want to revert back to the way that they were. And I've learned a lot about disciplining myself and taking care of myself and establishing some of those boundaries. But, today I was up at the hospital with my mother, who was doing great. I was really happy about that. I was also trying to get some deadlines taken care of, and then I had my 9-year-old with me, and as you saw, she's a nice little bundle of energy. She came in and at the start of our Facebook Live. But it came to a place where there were all these people that were coming into my mom's room about every 5 minutes, and so I felt really stressed and chaotic because I wasn't able to get done what I wanted to do. And I was trying to put out a lot of energy. I was trying to take care of my daughter, see about my mother, and have conversation with her, and I was trying to get a deadline. And what I was doing is I was focusing on how everything around me was causing me the angst, but I had this revelation that I was actually causing my own angst. And I was doing that because I was living in choice. I was choosing to put my energy out into too many things. Now, what were my choices? My choices were, I could have easily gone into a conference room there at the hospital, or I could have just packed up and went home and if I wanted to focus on the deadline that I was trying to meet. I finally came to a point where I just shut the computer and just sat there and had a really good conversation with my mother, and that really enriched my life. And so sometimes I'm here to tell you that multitasking, it's temporary and it doesn't get you very far, and it doesn't help you to listen, and it doesn't help you to focus. And I am learning the beauty of being able to focus on one person, one thing at a time. And what I'm finding is that you actually get a lot more accomplished when you do that. Now, that's contrary to how I've always operated. I like to just do lots of things all at once. But I also want to do quality things, and I want to put out quality vibes to the world, and I want to get quality vibes back. So I hope you get what I'm saying here. So anyway, I was living in choice, and so I chose to just stop, focus on her, and then after that, we packed up, went home, and I was easily able to meet my deadlines, no problem. And I just created this undue pressure on myself, just like when we talked about in the first session. We do put a lot of undue pressure on ourselves, but the thing is that we do have those days where we do have a lot of things that happen that we really don't have much control over. But one thing that I want to encourage you to do starting now is to find that time to give back to yourself. So as you're putting yourself out there into the universe and putting your energy out there, and just living and giving and showing up in your mission, take time for yourself. So before this call, I spent about 30 minutes outside in the backyard just taking in nature. I mean, just decompressing from the day and having a moment to myself. And even though it was just a few moments, I was able to get my head together and just collect my thoughts. So when was the last time that you did that? When was the last time that you just got up from work, or you just walked out of the house and you went outside and you just breathed in the air and just allowed your thoughts to flow and just able to get your head together? So I want to challenge you. I want to challenge you to do that. And I want you to look for some time over the next 7 days for you to just, is there a place where you can just take an hour for yourself? And even plan that hour, even if it's just going to the bookstore and just thumbing through some books and enjoying that time by yourself. And I'm talking by yourself, no kids, no nothing. Just you having time to yourself. Is there an opportunity for you to take a half a day to yourself? And if you were to have a half a day, where would you go? What would you do? What would that look like for you? And I want you to get into this place, because if you're going to be filling everybody's buckets and you want to be overly productive and you want to be putting a lot of energy out of there, you've got to put the energy back into yourself, and you've got to recharge yourself. You've got to be able to think about and determine, what are my boundaries going to be? Our 3 truths are about creating stories. We need to experience some healing. We need to let those scabs heal that we've picked. We need to be getting in touch with how we respect ourselves so that other people can respect us. And we also have to determine what are our boundaries and rules going to be for ourselves. And it's hard to do that when you have a lot of a lot of voices talking to you and a lot of activity going on around you. And that's what I want to challenge you to do. I want you to just find, even if it's 30 minutes to yourself, and think about these 3 questions. What are the stories that you're telling yourself? And how do those stories need to change? What is the good story that you need to tell yourself? And then the second thing is, what is one thing that you can do in order to respect yourself? It can be something like, let's say that you find that your child talks back to you, and sometimes it takes you aback and you're like, okay, whatever, and you go along with it. But when you keep allowing that to happen, then that child's not going to respect you. So what do you do to gain that respect back? Or what do you do to stand your ground so that you are showing that you respect yourself and your own boundaries? And then what's just one boundary that you need to establish for yourself right now? Is it that you need that boundary of having alone time for 30 minutes, just 30 minutes a week? You deserve that. Maybe that boundary is that you're not going to let your friend walk all over you on a particular topic, or you're not going to allow someone to impact you to the point that you feel badly about yourself. So think about those things. And it's time to change those woes that you're experiencing. It's time to change those woes to wows. So before I jump off of this Facebook Live, be thinking about, I came up with this the other day, but I said change your woes to wows so that you can empower yourself instead of devour yourself. And I like to play with those little words, and I guess it's just the marketer and brander in me that I like to create those things. But change those woes to wows. When things come, when you're putting good energy out and it's coming back to you, instead of complaining that all this stuff is coming to me, say, wow, I must be putting a lot of energy out because I'm getting a lot back. How can I respect myself in this process? What boundaries do I need to establish for myself? And what is the story that I need to be telling myself? So I hope all of that makes sense to you. This has been our third session on 3 truths about the overly productive woman. And we have one more session next Thursday night, so we will have done 4. Now, I am recording these so that if you want to, you can always go back and listen to these. I found that it's really good to listen to these, especially if you're going to the gym and you're walking on the treadmill or you're walking on the beach and you're in a place where you're able to, maybe you're in the car and you want to play this over. And what I hear from people throughout the week is, oh gosh, I didn't hear that when I was on the call, but when I listened to it again, this is what I got out of it. So, come back and listen and pick up some morsels to chew on and to take care of yourself. So one of the things that I've committed to is that with each one of these sessions, I give away a free seat to our upcoming women's retreat. So that women's retreat is going to be July the 28th. So you're going to get an opportunity to have a full day where you can be taken care of. All of these things that we're talking about, how to overcome all of the negativity of what overly productive means for you. Because sometimes it has some negative side effects, and we know that. That's why you're here. But anyway, giving you a full day where we can take time to talk through some things, where you can connect with other women who are experiencing some of the same things that you're experiencing. We're going to be doing a wine and canvas. We're going to have chair massages, and it's going to be a great time. It's going to be a good, relaxing, insightful day where you get to create your vision of what you want your mission to look like. So yeah, we are going to be talking about some business savvy, just a little bit of that, but really what we're going to be talking about is how do you really show up in the world in your mission and to be strong, and how to just influence and how to discipline yourself so that you really are treating yourself well. And so anyway, I wanted to announce that my gal Julie Lang is going to get a free seat to that women's retreat. So Julie, congratulations, and I will send you information about your free seat in that women's retreat. So for the rest of you if you're interested in coming to the women's retreat, if you go to the login page, and this is how you got on this page, there's some information for you there. There is a place where you can go and register. You got one more chance to win a free seat if you show up to next Thursday's 4th and final session. So I hope to see you all there. And I also love hearing from you during the week. So if there's something that resonated with you, on the call, let me know, because these are totally unscripted. I just don't do well with scripts. It's just, whatever, after 9 o'clock, whatever you see, that's what you get, and whatever thought comes to my head, it just comes right out of my mouth. So there's no telling. Sometimes I have to go back and watch and say, well, what did I say? But I just trust that my Maker above is causing these things to come out, and I always know that the things that come out of my mouth, every little piece is meant for someone on the call. So I'm hoping that you got a great little nugget tonight. I see Rachel just joined. So Rachel, thanks for joining. Just so you know that we're coming to the close on this session, but I'm going to have the recorded version up on the website where you registered, so you'll be able to view that. For those of you that haven't gotten a chance to see the first and second sessions, they are up on the website. It took me a little bit longer to get the second one up because for some reason it was having trouble uploading, but it's up there now. So go back and get some nuggets. So real quick recap on the 3 truths. So the first truth that we had for tonight was that we create stories in every scenario because of our pre-existing conditions. So be mindful of the stories that you're telling yourself every time you go through an experience. Also, we struggle when it comes to establishing and keeping our personal boundaries. And that is a truth. We do. It's because we want people to be happy, or, there might be other things interfering with that, that inner critic that we talk about who's on our inner committee. That inner critic may be messing with our personal boundaries. And then the third thing is that we get respect when we start respecting ourselves first. So remember, if you're having trouble with people respecting you and your authority and your influence and who you are as a person, start with looking at yourself first and asking, am I showing myself respect? So I hope you all have a great evening. Thanks so much for joining me on Facebook Live. Feel free to reach out to me by email if you have any comments or questions. And I will see you next Thursday for our 4th and final session on 3 truths about the overly productive woman, where we'll have 3 new and final truths for this series. All right? Bye-bye, everybody. Hope you have a great evening.